there's something really special about you. When you're ready to come out here, you come out here and give it a shot. And I got to tell you, I gathered up some money. I got $1,000 from some friends, and I got on a plane, and I moved to California. But when I moved there at 18, I got to tell y'all, I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew that I had to get out of the environment that I was in. And during that time, I had all kinds of jobs. I would work at cleaning services where I would clean up office buildings. Do you hear me? Could you imagine me cleaning up the office building? I was a janitor, cleaning toilets, mopping floors, doing all that kind of stuff. I was evicted so many times because I kept trying to, go after this acting career, and I wouldn't necessarily be able to keep the jobs because when opportunities would come up, I would end up kind of messing up a little bit. So it was a trying time. I slept in my car, been homeless, washed up at the beach, okay? But let me tell y'all something. No matter what I was going through, I still had a dream, okay? And remember, what this whole word today is, all that glitters isn't gold, honey. You got to make a sacrifice to get what it is that you want in life. And you got to know it's not going to come easy. But if you keep pursuing your passion, you're going to get to your place of destiny. And no matter what I went through, I said if I could get through Camden, New Jersey, if we could overcome mom's addiction, my own addiction, if I could overcome the strip clubs and all that other stuff, I can overcome where I am right now. Some people talk about where I was from and coming from the ghetto and that whole thing, but I got to tell you, those ghetto streets, it gave me courage in my heart. Working hard, re-educating myself. That's why you have an opportunity to educate yourself. Even for some of you that are here, for acting and drama and music, you have great teachers. You have great professors. You are so far ahead of where I was when I was your age that the whole world is open to you right now. And during that time, I remember when I kept staying focused on my path. I started doing stand-up comedy. From stand-up comedy, I started just doing little work on sets with people. Anywhere I could be that had to do with the arts, I would try to be there. And what happened was, when I stayed focused on that path, it was like God was just constantly sending people to me that would give me opportunity. My first big show was this show called Boston Common. How many of you have ever heard of that show, Boston Common? It was a show that was on NBC. And the guys that wrote the show, they were these young white writers from a show called Dream On. And they came to me and said, you know what, you're really talented. We're going to write a show for you. And they did. 2 years later, they called me up and they said, we have this new show on NBC, and it's a character named Tasha King that we wrote for you, and they ended up giving me that job, but I had to stay on my path, and I had to stay in my place of purpose. And that's what's really important for us, you guys and girls, that as long as we stay on our path and our place of purpose, God will meet us right there. Do you hear me? That our footsteps are ordered by the Lord. Have you heard that before? Yes. So we got to take some footsteps in order for God to meet us there. We can't sit still and act like, oh, something's going to fall out of heaven. If you don't do no homework, you ain't going to get no grades. You know what I'm saying? And one other thing I have to say is that you have to forgive yourself and know that you deserve what's in your heart to have. Because one of the biggest problems that I had was condemnation, guilt, and shame because of the things that I experienced. I didn't feel like I was worth anything. I didn't feel like I was special. And I had to really change that mentality and know that God created me for something great. So I couldn't stay living in the past of my mistakes. So you and you walk in forgiveness, and you get rid of the shame, and you trust God to give you what it is you desire to have. And I have to use biblical stories because that's just who I am, okay? Y'all all know the story about the adulterer woman, right, in the Bible, right? And you know the story when people had her out there and went to Jesus and said, look at this woman caught in adultery. And Jesus looked at everybody else and said, any of y'all without sin, you cast the first stone. And then guess what Jesus did? He went back down to right and do what he had to do. And then looked up and all those jokers were gone. And he said to that woman, he said, where are your accusers? Where are the people talking about you and dogging you out and sitting up there trying to tell your sin? Where they at? They didn't condemn you? And she said to him, she said, no one condemned me. And Jesus said to her, well, guess what? Neither do I condemn you.